Welcome to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I am Beth Cooper.
I am Stacey Earlywine, and it is a chilly, beautiful fall morning.
It's beautiful outside today.
Let's just talk about this fall we've had.
We've had the prettiest fall, haven't we? I mean, the colors in the trees this year have been so gorgeous.
I think it's one of the best falls we've had in years.
I think so, too. I mean, there's been warm days. There's been some cooler days. It's been a really nice mix. It hasn't been a ton of rain.
Right.
It's just been really pretty. I mean, the trees were, I almost felt like I was in Vermont there for a couple of days. I went for a drive, and the trees were just beautiful.
My girlfriends and I, we took a trip a week or so ago, I can't remember, to Eureka Springs, Arkansas. We go out there to a big festival called War Eagle. Eureka Springs is literally one of my favorite places. It's in the Ozarks. And I'm going to tell you what, from the time we left, the leaves were spectacular.
Yeah, that's
all the way out, all the way back, and that's been a week ago, and they're still gorgeous, and they're still hanging on the trees.
Yeah, they are. They're starting to fall, and they're starting to get thinner, but they're still on there.
Yeah, I don't think because a lot of times during the Halloween parade, you know, everything, the leaves come and they get blown off. And the winds come, I guess. But no, I think it's still beautiful. Even coming up this morning was beautiful. Yeah, I love fall. It's my absolute favorite time.
I like fall too, and it is colder today. A lot of people are complaining, but I think it's just beautiful out.
It is gorgeous. The sun's out. I can do anything if the sun's out. It can be 5 below zero out there, and I'll be okay as long as that sun's shining. Now, the other day when, was so dreary the other night.
Cloudy and dreary.
When it's dark outside because the sun's not shining, then I'm not so happy.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I find it cozy and kind of comforting.
Well, if I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
If I have to get up and go to work or do something, then I don't like it. If I'm just laying around the house.
Then it's fine.
Then I can just watch popcorn or watch movies and eat popcorn all day long. And then I like that. Get up and piddle. I'm a piddler. I like to piddle. But I think it's been absolutely gorgeous. And I'm loving it. And, of course, now, we still got fall. We still have Thanksgiving, and when is actual winter? What's the day that winter actually begins? When is fall officially over? Do you remember?
I think it's not until December 20th.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Ty can Google that, but I think the actual winter solstice is December the 20th or 21st.
Well, after Thanksgiving, then I have a feeling this set's going to go total Christmas.
Oh, yeah, our set here. Yes, because, I'm just waiting on November. And then Christmas starts, and a lot of you are going to complain, and you're going to say, I'm not celebrating Thanksgiving, and I'm here to tell you that I definitely think that I celebrate Thanksgiving, but to me, Thanksgiving is a day, not a season.
Yeah.
Christmas is a season.
It is a season.
And I celebrate
a reason for this season, it literally says. So.
Yes.
Yeah, because you definitely want to celebrate Jesus' birthday.
Yeah, I celebrate big time.
Oh, yeah.
The whole season just makes me so happy. It's just like peace and love, and the music is soothing to me. And if I'm listening to Christmas music all year round, don't judge.
Ooh, I listen to it all year
because it's soothing to me. It's peaceful, and it's like therapy. So
yeah, I like it. I love Christmas music. I listen to it all the time. My favorite Christmas album is Vanessa Williams has a Christmas album out there that's fantastic, and I love every single song.
Oh, really? Okay, well, I'll put that on my list. I haven't listened to hers.
Oh, it's good. It's from back in the day. It is. It's called Star Bright. Why do I even know that? I shouldn't know that because I don't know albums, but that's how much I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Do you know what my one of my all-time favorite Christmas albums is?
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
No, New Kids on the Block. I'm from the 80s and 90s, and they had a great Christmas album in 92 or 93. It's good.
Is it really?
It really is. Yeah, they did classic songs. They didn't do their own.
I don't know if I've ever even heard
They covered all the classics, and yeah, it was good.
Wow, I didn't even know.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so winter starts December 20th.
Okay.
So some years it's the 21st, some years it's the 20th. Depends on the days, the rotation of the Earth, and I don't know. I researched that once.
With the moon and the sun align. What's that?
Yeah.
When the moon is in the seventh sign of Jupiter,
I don't know.
aligns with Mars.
Okay.
The fifth dimension.
Oh, I don't know that. I don't think. What's the chorus?
This is the dawning
Oh,
of
yeah, I know that.
the age of Aquarius.
Yeah, it's called the Age of Aquarius. Yeah.
Yeah. A little high for singing at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Because I'm an Aquarius.
Oh, okay.
I know that song.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, but anyway, we're going to go through Thanksgiving and do our normal, but who knows what we're going to do in December. But we are going to be, and we'll probably have to dress up. I have a Mrs. Claus outfit.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. I was this morning looking through my closet, and I have an entire section of my closet that's Christmas clothes. And
Christmas! Oh my gosh, are you a Christmas? We got to get Christmas sweaters.
Oh yeah,
oh my gosh,
do ugly Christmas
we have to
sweater.
do an ugly Christmas sweater.
Yeah,
Ty, you have to be involved. Huh?
Oh, he's good with that. That's good. Okay, we're gonna deck the halls
and
here.
And what we'll
soon.
do is we'll just stand him right here in front of the quilt, and he can just stand there the whole hour.
And
That'll
I
be
have
great.
Christmas quilts.
Oh,
of course.
Oh my goodness. Well,
gosh, let's start off our show like always with an ad. We got an old ad.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one's. Oh, okay. I found this ad. Okay, this ad is great. It's Lane Bryant has been around.
They've been around a long
since
time.
the 20s, apparently. This magazine's
wow.
my magazine from the 20s, which I'm obsessed with.
Yes.
So, but
Lane Bryant, ladies' clothing.
Love it.
Here we go.
I love it. This style book is yours free for stout women and misses.
Aww.
So stout used to be what we call plus size girls now. But I didn't realize Lane Bryant had been around for a long time. Their clothes are fantastic, actually. I would kill to have that catalog. So if anybody has this free Lane Bryant book from the 20s, I'd love it. Lane Bryant, address Department 162, 5th Avenue and 39th Street, New York.
Well, they were downtown Julie Brown right there. I mean, 5th Avenue, that's where all of the fancy stores were.
Yours free. One copy of this style book is reserved just for you, waiting for you to send for it. This is your opportunity to see and know all the new fashions for spring. Yeah, and I love the, I love the 20s. Yeah, and I got my hat I'm wearing today is literally kind of from the 20s.
Yeah, that's super cute.
Yeah, I got it when I was at War Eagle. I love to wear hats. You'll see me wear a lot. I don't wear it in the summertime because I'm hot all the time.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, the winter I'll probably have a hat on my head every day. I love hats.
I love hats too, and I don't wear a lot of them, but I do love them, like the 1920s, 30s, 40s. Like women always wore hats. And it was kind of a social thing. If you didn't have a hat on, you were kind of looked down upon almost.
Yeah.
Like you were half dressed.
It was a status. It was a
like
social
why
status.
is she out here without a hat? That's disgraceful. I mean, I don't know. It'd be kind of cool to go back to some of those old fashions a little bit more.
I like it. Well, I'm
bring it back.
I'm bringing it back.
Bring it back.
I'm bringing. It's sexy back.
Oh, yeah.
I'm bringing hats back.
There you go.
Lori Poole used to wear. Lori Poole wears a lot of hats.
She looks great in hats.
Yeah. My sister, Diana, we make fun because my sister's like, well, you can pull it off. You look good in hats. We're dying to. They don't think they look good in hats. Because not everybody can pull a hat off. But I like it.
Maybe I'll wear a hat next week.
I think you should wear a hat next week. Okay. So our topic today. Is one that I study and I study and I study, and it still doesn't make sense to me. And we're going to talk about inflation, okay?
Inflation and cost of living.
Yeah, the inflation and cost of living through the years. And once I started studying it, which I did a lot of work on this one, because there was a lot to do, because you took so many decades, I took so many decades. And when you talk about money and stuff, currency never has made sense to me.
No, and one problem I ran into with my research this week is that a lot of the numbers that I found that I'm going to talk about prices were from like either a national average or they were taken from like New York City, Boston, somewhere out east, where the cost of living here would have not been that. Like the cost of a home in New York City in 1920 is not going to equate to the cost of a home in Clay County, Illinois in 1920. So that was a little bit.
Yeah, my research, I did a lot of Midwest, Illinois and stuff. I don't know how I got that. But yeah, it would compare like what a house in because I took the 40s to the present. But it's just shocking to me, like the price of bread, and even and like I was born in the '60s, so in the '70s I remember really cheap candy and all that kind of stuff. But it's a lot to get to, so let's go ahead and start.
Okay, let's do it. All right.
Okay.
So
you did the old time.
I did. So I'll start. So the earliest that I came across was from the, like, right when our county was settled. And this is local. This is from Clay County. This was a store in Louisville, a couple of different stores in Louisville. And it was in the 1840s to the 1860s. So they had like an article. Ernest Elliott, he was a man that wrote for the Clay County newspaper back in the 60s. And he wrote an article all about the cost of living 115 years ago.
That's neat.
From then, which is much longer now, because he wrote this. I don't have the date that he wrote this, but it was probably in the late 50s, early 60s. All right, so he kind of goes through. He actually found the books from a couple of the old stores in Louisville.
Oh, that's cool.
He had their price lists and went through them, and it was pretty interesting. So, and some things were actually more expensive than I would have thought they would have been, and probably because it was so early that they were hard to get there by train.
Right.
Because at that time, everything was still shipped here by train, and I don't think that they could always order exactly what they wanted. I think sometimes they just got. If there was any, it made it all the way out here.
Well,
they got it.
Real quick, let's just talk about ordering.
Yeah.
You didn't just call,
No, you didn't just get 2-day shipping from Amazon. No, you probably ordered months in advance and mailed it through and then went on a train, and then they shipped it back on a train, and you didn't know when it was coming. And I think sometimes, you might order winter items, and they don't get here till spring.
Yeah, Paul Ingalls drove for days.
He did. There was serious trouble in Dakota, and that's all true.
That's all true.
Like the trains got stuck by the snow, and they didn't make it through, and the people in certain communities almost starved because they were out without food. But that's a whole other.
That's a whole other episode.
That wasn't happening here in Clay County. But, okay, so I'll just go through some of his prices here from that time period.
I'll stop. I'll give you some time. You go, and I'll let you know when we need to take a break.
Okay. So one bottle of painkiller was 25 cents. I don't know what their painkiller was. One box of pills was also 25 cents. And now I think that's high for way back in the 1850s.
I think that's really high for back then.
But I think it was hard to get to, and it was rare, and it wasn't something people kept. I think you only bought that if you were like on your deathbed.
You just didn't really just have it around the house.
3 pounds of coffee was 50 cents.
Yeah, that is really interesting. That is because that's higher than when I started researching the 40s and the 50s. Let's take a quick break. This is going to be an interesting hour.
Yeah, we'll be back.
At your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville, you can count on experts to have the solutions to keep you running on the road or in the field. More than just your car, the Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville carry a large inventory of Napa products for farms, heavy trucks, and just about everything that moves. Experienced associates understand your needs and are ready to help with the perfect part at a great value. That's Napa Know-How at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville. Briscoe Surplus Sales on the northeast edge of Flora is your one-stop do-it-all shop. Looking for rugged boots and footwear from great brands like Lacrosse, Rocky, and Carolina? They're there. How about top-notch small engine parts and service? Briscoe Surplus Sales has it. Whether you're wiring your switches or switching your wiring, Briscoe Surplus Sales has the solution and the know-how to help you get the job done right the first time. Briscoe Surplus Sales, your one-stop do-it-all shop.
We like technology at Flora Savings Bank. Here's what you can accomplish in our mobile banking app in less than 30 seconds. See account balances in your transactions, set up an account alert, make a transfer between accounts, get an alert text message about your transfer, pay a bill, turn your debit card off and then back on. It all happens in the palm of your hand with our free My Bank or Google Play, and give mobile banking a try. Flora Savings Bank, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Doors, paint, windows, electrical, plumbing, and much more. Oh yeah, give me all your guns too.
John Lucas.
What?
You better be dreaming about all the stuff we sell here at Zink Building Center.
Oh, I would. Zink Building Center in Louisville on Route 45. It's a cool place.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. Today we are talking about cost of living and inflation, and I was talking about some notes I have here from way back when our county was founded, And I'm actually going to correct myself because I said they were brought in on the railroad. This list that I'm starting with was not brought in on the railroad. This is from 1854. This is a list of prices from the Hungate store in Louisville. And the goods for the Hungate store were brought in by wagon on the Vincennes-St. Louis Trail.
That's cool.
So because they were so hard to get here and we were really, truly in the middle of nowhere,
right?
Prices were high for some things compared. I mean, yeah, they're less than today, but they're actually going to be more than what we cover when we get to later decades.
Yeah.
So I was just saying 3 pounds of coffee was 50 cents. A powder keg was 20 cents. 1 paper needles was 10 cents. And I guess that's just like a little thing of needles.
A little thing of needles?
A gallon of molasses was 60 cents.
Wow, that is so high.
If you wanted to buy a jug, that was 20 cents. 3 pounds of rice was 25 cents. 1 pair of shoes was 75 cents. A yard of lace was 15 cents. And 8 yards of print, or like calico fabric, would have been $1.20. So if you had to make a dress or something,
That's where the feed sacks came in so handy.
Yeah, I don't think feed sacks were happening yet.
Were they?
No. So these people, these settlers that lived here, you would think that, it was cheap because they, but no, it really wasn't. Everything that they needed from somewhere else had to be shipped. I mean, eventually they were able to grow their own food and stuff, but anything extra was actually expensive to get here.
Now, I wonder what the average salary at that point was. Did he mention anything? This is just...
Let me go down the list. I'm not sure if this particular one says it. Here's an item that I didn't know what it was, but it was at the top of their list. 1 vermifuge and peppermint was 25 cents. Is that some type of candy or what? Vermifuge?
Vermifuge?
Vermifuge.
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 Well, it has to be if it was with, or is it going to be? Would they have had oils back? I mean,
yeah, or liquor. I don't know. It's a medicine.
It's a medicine.
It's a medicine.
AKA liquor.
Okay. Yeah. A comb was 15 cents. A coffee pot was 30 cents. 1/4 pound of tea was 25 cents. And you think about 1/4 pound of tea, that is not much tea. That wouldn't last you very long if you drank tea daily.
Wow.
A pound of bacon was 8 cents. A box of percussion caps, I think that has to do with shooting.
Yeah,
10
I would think so.
A yard of gingham was 25 cents.
Gingham.
2 pounds of tobacco was 60 cents. That's quite a bit. I'd be like, husband, no tobacco for you.
Yeah.
That's taking up all of our grocery money. Let's see what else they have here that might be interesting. Lots of different fabrics. A dozen buttons are 10 cents. 3 bars of lead is 15 cents. A pair of gloves is 15 cents. A parasol is $1.40. $1.40. I'd be like, I'll pass on my parasol.
Wow.
Matches were 5 cents. A chamber pot was 50 cents. Okay, here we go. 2-pound loaf of sugar was 25 cents. So I know we're going to talk about sugar in other decades. Yeah. So sugar was 25 cents. A small Bible was $1.70, and a large Bible was $2.50. Meat, 1 shoulder meat was $1.02. Meat's going to come up in other episodes too.
Oh yeah, but that's really like, is that a shoulder? Yeah, because how much was that?
$1.02 for 1 shoulder meat. I would say that's just like a roast or something, like one big chunk.
Because literally, I start mine in the 1940s. A pound of beef roast was 20 cents.
Okay, yeah, big difference.
Big difference. And you're talking several decades.
1 bald-faced turkey was 25 cents. You get the whole turkey live, you think?
I don't know,
does that mean...
but I don't like that.
So a bushel of peaches was $1.80.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm sure peaches had to come from far away. But anyway, some of the names of those who traded at this Hungate store may interest you. One of them was Joseph Higginbotham, who we've talked about from Oskaloosa. He was a wealthy black man from the West County line in Oskaloosa Township. He had a whole settlement there, had a very successful mill, was the wealthiest man around, and said his bills were over $20 at the Hungate store, while most people bought about $1.50 a trip. So he would go to the store and spend $20 every time. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, all the other people would come and they were able to spend about $1.50. So if you only had $1.50 to go spend at this Hungate store, what would you buy? Because I mean, you would buy your sugar and your flour, which I probably skipped over that. I didn't see that listed, but I'm sure it's here somewhere. But it would be really hard to, if you needed nails or lead and powder, it would be hard to have any money left over to buy food.
It makes you wonder when an hourly wage came in.
Oh, I'm going to talk about that.
Okay, talk about that, because I'm curious to see from where I take off in the 1940s. Yeah, because was there always an hour? I feel like
there wasn't always an hourly.
There wasn't always an hourly wage.
No. Okay, so I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit to about. Let me see if I have.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
Let me find my. I'm gonna skip ahead to 1915 a little bit because we have so many decades to go through.
We have a lot.
There wasn't a lot of changes for a while. So 1915, that was 2 years after income tax came about. And the average income in 1915 was $687 per year.
Yeah,
if you were a man.
If you're a man, yeah.
If you were a woman or a child, you can cut that number into about half.
Yeah.
So women and children were working at that time about $300 a year.
Yeah.
If they were lucky.
Okay,
so there was no minimum wage.
This is 1915.
Yes.
Okay.
There was no minimum wage in 1915 except a few states started experimenting with it. Okay?
Okay.
And they only did it for women and children. So the states that did have a minimum wage weren't doing it for men, but they were for women and children. So the federal minimum wage would not be enacted until 1938.
That's interesting because, like I said, that's awesome. Yeah.
So we are only in 1915. So at a hearing in March of 1915, a woman named Dorothy Miller told a state minimum wage committee in Albany, New York, that she made $6 a week. That comes out to $312 a year. Out of that $6 a week, she paid her parents $2.50 a week for room and board. Okay? And then she also told the committee, after I paid my actual necessary expenses every week, I had 40 cents left for clothes and amusements, and I was the envy of all the girls I worked with.
Really?
Because she was the rich. She was the only one that had any money left over at the end. And she had 40 cents.
Wow.
So, men were making twice that, which, I mean, gosh, that up until pretty recent history has that changed. But let's see. Let me go through some of my other notes.
Recently, I'm talking in the 2000s, in the 21st century.
Yeah.
It's only been the last several years.
So if you were if you were buying a house in 1915, and this is national average, okay, this wouldn't have been Clay County, but it said that it would have cost you around $3,200. And then it also went on to mention that homeowners insurance did not exist yet in 1915. Right. So there was also no zoning laws in the country at that time. So you could buy a really cute little house and pay your $3,000 and buy this cute house next to this really pretty meadow full of flowers and have the perfect little setup in your little house. But then, somebody else buys the meadow next door, and now you have a lye factory next door spewing toxins into your home that's already built with asbestos and lead paint.
And your beautiful little creek and all the fish are dying.
Yes. And that actually, I mean, it goes on to list some examples. I mean, that would happen. And that is what brought about zoning laws, which sometimes we complain about zoning laws because sometimes they don't always make a lot of common sense.
But zoning laws are important.
But they're important to protect us.
They are important,
And, if you do live somewhere and you have a beautiful meadow next to you, be happy that it is not a lye factory.
I'm all about zoning laws. I wish we had stricter ones, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So let's go on with the in 1915, you would have paid about 15 cents a gallon for gas.
In 1915?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yes.
See, because that's still kind of high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those
15,
times were tough. Yeah.
Times were tough.
Yeah.
Yes. But that was, other places it was 23 cents a gallon at that time.
Yeah, yeah.
In California, imagine that. It was
in California, it's shocking.
Yeah, even then it was higher in California. So in 1915, a loaf of bread, 7 cents for 1915 loaf of bread. A dozen eggs, 34 cents.
Really? Because in 1940, a dozen eggs was 33 cents.
Okay,
So so this gives me a little hope.
Yeah.
Because we're in an area where like right now inflation is crazy right now. And I always say, well, does it ever go down? Well, apparently it does, because some of your numbers are actually just barely below mine.
But I think that they went down because the transportation improved and was able to transport them to this area.
So you're saying that we're just stuck with what we've got.
I'm not trying to be negative, but I'm not sure that our shipping and transportation could get any faster than what it already is. So I don't know.
I just keep thinking. I keep telling myself, well, inflation. Once things go up, do they ever go back down? Because from the 40s to the present, nothing ever went down.
Yeah, no, I'm afraid we're at a point now where it's never
going to happen.
But gosh, does that sound negative or what? We'll just have to wait and see. But a quart of milk. Let me keep going. I don't want to be the negative Nelly. It's never going to change. It's only going to get worse. A quart of milk in 1915 was 9 cents. And a pound of steak was 26 cents. Have you bought steak lately?
I have not bought. I've been buying beef off of people.
We buy beef. We buy a half a beef at a time. But I will say we didn't have anything thawed out a couple of weeks ago, and it was like real quick, and we're like, oh, let's do steak. Oh, they're not thawed out. We'll just run to the store and grab some. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would think it was $16.99 a pound.
Wow.
For a ribeye.
Wow.
And the New York strips were $14.99 a pound. If I remember right.
Yeah.
That's a far cry from 26 cents.
That's a big far cry.
So when you have a whole family of children and they all like to eat steak.
Well, they're not getting steak. Let's take a quick break. Okay. We'll come back and continue our decades of inflation.
If you're looking for a loan for your brand new home, call Clay County State Bank. If you want to transfer money so your future will look sunny, call Clay County State Bank. We got checking and savings and bill pay too.
An online banking, just ask our crew. For all your banking needs, we think you will agree.
Clay County State Bank is the place you need to be.
Clay County State Bank.
At Clay City Banking Company, we're all on the same team, regardless of zip code. At home, work, school, or across the country, you can be part of our team with our cutting-edge mobile banking products. From your hand, you can check balances, transfer money, make deposits, and pay bills. Looking for a loan? We've got you covered with our mortgage, agriculture, commercial, and consumer loans. Join our team today. Clay City, Flora, Louisville, and Fairfield Banking Companies. We're the hometown banks, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
It's the weekend, and your symptoms are worsening. The morning of a big meeting, and you have a bigger sore throat. Ever experienced that urgency after picking up your sick child and your community health center has already closed? You will be able to connect to a provider at crhpc.org. Even if you have never been to CRHPC, you are welcome to utilize our services. Feel better after scheduling a video visit with CRHPC.
Tomorrow. Some fear the uncertainty it brings. Some trust the promise it holds. At Grinnell Mutual, we are always looking forward to tomorrow, growing and innovating. So even if the plans you have for the future aren't the same as the plans that the future holds for you, you can be ready. Because we'll be ready, like we have been for over 100 years. Trust in that. Trust in tomorrow. Talk to your mutual agent today.
Your local agent is on the square. Louisville, Clay County Farmers Mutual Insurance.
And welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. We're talking about inflation and cost of living. I was going through prices, and then in 1915.
You know, the thing about this is our 71st episode. And we've talked about doing a cost of living since we first.
From the beginning?
From the very beginning.
Yeah,
so
we're like, we got to talk about that. And so we just kept pushing it on further down the line.
Because it's fun.
Well, it is fun, but we kept thinking of other things. And we're like, oh, we want to do that one next.
I don't know if you know this, but we go here, here, here.
But that's the fun of it. Like, we have a great time trying to decide what we're going to research.
That's right. Change our minds.
All right. So a first-class stamp in 1915 was 2 cents.
First class?
First class.
Did that mean your stuff got there faster?
Yeah. I think because, like, second-class, like, they still have different classes of mail, but we don't ever use it. But, like, newspapers or magazines that you have a subscription to, I think they are a different class. Like, the junk mail that you get, that's not first class. They pay less postage, but then they don't have to deliver it, I think, at a certain time.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not.
That's interesting.
I don't work for the Postal Service, but I know there's different
I didn't know that.
classes.
Cool.
So, okay. So that, so in 1915, most people did not own a home. They rented, and the rule was that rent should not be more than 20% of your income. So most people allowed $25 a month for rent.
Wow.
And they allowed $37.50 for food. And, they went on down the budget, but those are the two biggies, rent and food. So skipping ahead just 5 years to 1920, let's look and see how much things have changed in 5 years. Bread went up to 12 cents. A dozen eggs to 47 cents. What did I say eggs were? 34
cents.
Okay, so they went up in 5 years from 34 cents to 47 cents. So you start to see this little bit of a roller coaster of prices there for a while. Postage first class stamp was still 2 cents. A pound of butter was 70 cents. That's probably why a lot of people made their own butter.
Oh, that's high.
Round steak was, for 1 pound of round steak was 40 cents. And this says a new house on average was, and that's nationwide now average, so keep that in mind. A new house was $6,296. A new car was $525. Rent on average was $15 a month, which went down. A movie ticket was 15 cents each. Gasoline was up to 33 cents per gallon, and the average annual income was around $3,269.40, according to the IRS. So the average annual income nationwide, so you're talking cities and everything,
really?
$3,269.40 in 1920.
That's a lot in 1920.
But I don't feel like it reflects on our community.
It does not, yeah.
Because, it's an average. So you're taking in the people that make a lot of money that were in New York and California, and it just really, brings the average up. I would say that the Clay County annual income in that time period, which I could not find in my research, was nowhere near $3,000 a year.
Yeah, well, right, because I took over in the. Do you want to?
Yeah,
let's
go
talk
ahead.
into the 1940s.
Okay.
So in the 1940s, and all my research was actually Illinois.
Okay.
It was all in not Clay County, but specifically for Illinois.
Okay.
In the 1940s, the average income for a man was $956, and for women earned 62 cents for every dollar a man made. So that's where we're at with women.
And that's what it was. What I said in 1915.
Yeah.
About half that.
In between 1940 and 1943, the weekly wages in manufacturing in 1940 was $26 a week, and then in 1943 was $45 a week if you worked for manufacturing. So now that's what we're talking. The 30s and 40s, we see manufacturing, cars have been invented. So now we're in the era of the manufacturing world from the time that we start doing this. The hourly wage in the 1940s was 40 cents, and your work week was between 40 and 48 hours a week.
Wow.
Yes. In 1940, the gas prices was 18 cents a gallon, and in 1949, 27 cents. So that's what happened in during that time. So that's where we're at with this.
Okay.
This is what I love about the 40s. A loaf of bread was 10 cents.
Okay.
Milk was 52 cents a gallon. Bacon was 23 cents a pound. Well, I had to find out what M&Ms were. 5 cents.
Oh, really?
M&Ms were 5 cents a pack.
That's not. I honestly thought they'd be more than that.
No,
really.
When we get to the 70s, I still remember like in during my time, like in the south end of town when I was little in the 70s, there were like 4 laundromats, 3 or 4 grocery stores, and I remember you could go to the laundromats and they all had soda and candy. Mm-hmm. Actually, like one of the buildings is still there. It's like right there on Flora Avenue, right behind Building C.
Yeah,
that right there on the
behind
corner.
the high school.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
right behind the band room at the high school, and that was a laundromat, and they had candy. And I remember buying candy for like 20 cents.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're at the average. A carton of eggs was a dozen eggs was 33 cents. If you went to have breakfast somewhere and like had a big breakfast, let's say at grandma's, the whole shebang was about $1.41. Coffee was 10 cents a cup. Your average car in the 40s, you could buy a car for $850.
Wow.
And houses in the state of Illinois, houses in 1940 rent like downstate $656 for a house, but up in northern Illinois $3,527. So that's the difference between like your Chicago area.
Yeah.
Now, let's jump to the 50s. We
Okay.
love the 50s.
I love the 50s.
Okay. Your average salary for men was $3,600 a year.
Okay.
For women, $1,100.
But not very many of them, I bet, even worked.
No. Your average gallon of gas was 27 cents, but in 1959 rose to 31 cents. So you got 9 years difference there. Let's see. Candy never did change. You can still get a chocolate bar for 5 cents. Okay. A carton of eggs now is 60 cents. So you had a big jump between the 40s.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, it kind of goes here. Let's see. Bread was 12 cents. So bread's just kind of hanging in there. Milk, 83 cents. A rise, but not terrible. A beef, you could get a pound of hamburger for 12 cents a pound.
Okay.
Okay. Eggs are 60 cents, so they've doubled. Your average car now is $1,510.
Oh.
And your average house.
So it went up like,
a
gosh,
lot.
almost double.
Almost doubling. Yeah.
Wow.
And so your average house in the state of Illinois in the 50s was $12,000. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Average grocery bill in the 1950s, this cracks me up.
The average house was $12,000?
Yeah, in the 50s. Okay. Yeah. The average grocery bill in the 1950s, people spent about $800 a year on groceries in the 50s, which I think is kind of interesting.
I could spend that in a month now. I don't, but I
like,
could.
Like, seriously, you absolutely
I could. If I was the mom that went to the store and, like, seriously bought everything for 3 meals a day.
Oh, my.
To cook 3 meals a day, plus all of, like, snack food and things that are processed that you don't have to have, but like box of club crackers and the Chips Ahoy and the bags of potato chips. Like if I'd bought all of that plus things for every meal times 3 for 5 people a day, plus things to like bake with the dessert and bought meat, I could probably
Easily.
be probably at 1,000. Pretty quick. I don't buy my meat at the store because, like I said, we just order a cow and we have that in the freezer, and then we have other meat too in the freezer. But so my grocery bill now doesn't even include meat, and it's easily $600 a month.
Right. Well, Jim and I, we have 2 exchange students, so our grocery bill is bigger now. But when it was just empty nested, my grocery bill is not because we don't. I only if I get a hankering for something do I go out and buy it. But when I buy meat, I like having meat in the freezer. There's just something about it. But so your average grocery bill back in the 50s was $800 a year.
Wow.
A dress.
You mean a month?
No, a year.
A year. Oh yeah, a year.
Yeah, a year.
Yeah. I was the one that's talking about a month.
You're
Okay. Go ahead.
And then your average dress, like if you bought clothing, an average dress in the 1950s was $30.
Oh, really? Those things are so cute. I wish I had a closet full of them and a body that will fit in them. Those 1950s ladies in the ads that are just like the perfect
they are perfect.
Love those dresses.
They are. They're absolutely
I could
perfect.
totally be a vintage. You know, some ladies just dress vintage.
Yeah,
and they wear the vintage all the time.
Even back in my thin days when I was thin, I wouldn't have been able to fit in the 50s.
No.
But I love all that stuff.
Oh, me too.
When we were in Eureka Springs, we did a lot of rummage sales, and we went into this one lady's rummage sale, and it was all vintage clothing. My goodness. It was just, they were tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny.
They were.
So let's jump to the 60s.
Okay. Groovy, dude.
Groovy. So let me see. I better get my other 50s. So let's talk here.
Yeah, let's compare.
Your average salary for men in the 60s was $4,100. Oh, now get this. Now this isn't right.
Okay.
Okay, so your average salary for men literally went up about $500. Women now in the 60s are only making $1,300. So theirs only went up $200. But now's when it gets interesting. Now milk is at $1.
Oh.
You can get a gallon of milk for $1. Where am I at here? Your bread, 23 cents. Bread just kind of hangs in there.
Yeah.
Pork now is 81 cents a pound. Beef is 63 cents a pound.
Well,
so I
no
find
kidding.
it interesting
pork was
why
more
pork
expensive.
was more expensive.
These days, it's the opposite.
It's the opposite.
But pork was more expensive.
You know what else? Like in all my research, I never really came up chickens.
You know what? I don't think eating chicken. I mean, everyone's always ate chicken.
Yes.
But I don't think chicken became a staple in the American diet until later.
Yeah,
like the 80s, the 90s.
I never
and
came
it really
around
hit
chicken.
big. Yeah, no, I don't think that was something that was like sold. If you ate chicken, you probably butchered it, but you didn't go to the store and buy it. They didn't have nicely laid out, skinless, boneless tenderloins ready to buy for.
Right. So this is interesting. I found get this, a 10-pound bag of potatoes is 79 cents.
Wow.
Potatoes were cheap.
Yeah,
now,
they were.
Now I'm finding potatoes from the 60s?
Yeah.
The 60s on's when you're buying potatoes because apparently people quit digging them. And, potatoes are my favorite thing.
So we're looking at a time period where gardens were shrinking. Not as many people were probably gardening and growing everything themselves, and they're buying more.
No. Candy, 5 cents. 5-cent chocolate bar. Hershey's not bumped up their prices.
Yeah,
yet.
They didn't for a long time.
No, they didn't.
Because I can remember 5-cent candy in the 80s.
Right. Yeah, candy was pretty cheap. Now, your coffee, now you can buy a cup of coffee for 40 cents, but you can buy a pound of coffee is 70 cents in the 60s. And how much was it when you were talking about yours in the 1915s when it was so high?
What did I say? 3 pounds was 50 cents.
3 pounds was, So 3 pounds was 50 cents. Now 1 pound 70 cents. So 20 cents higher, but in the 60s.
Yeah, but that's 1 pound. This is 3. But still, that's a bit. That's almost 100 years.
Yeah.
It is 100 years later because that was from 1854.
Yeah. So now you're 1960. So that's kind of crazy. Coffee was high.
Yeah. Well, it was imported.
Oh, we need to take a commercial break.
So, okay, we'll be right back.
Do you bowl like this? That's great. Do you bowl like this? That's great too. That's because whether you're a pro or you just want to have a lot of fun, at Peggle's Silver Dollar Lanes, we have a lane for you. We have galaxy bowling, gaming for kids and adults, Joe's Pizza, a full bar, darts, pool, and fresh and clean bowling shoes. Boy, does that smell nice. So come on down to Peggle Silver Dollar Lanes in Effingham, where we have a lane for you.
My name is Robin Stanford. I own Stanford Marketing. It's a promotional products business along with an embroidery business. And we do custom hats, t-shirts, anything, you name it, we can make it. People like that we do stuff in-house and we can actually make things here and that we're not contracting the work out to other places. We never say no. We always try to find a way to do it. If anybody can do it, we can do it. We are hardworking women, that is for sure. Come to Stanford Marketing in Flora for all your custom and promotional needs.
The insurance specialists have options to tailor to your needs at CSI Insurance Brokers. Experienced insurance brokers at CSI are skilled with all types of insurance plans and policies and represent many companies, including Safeco Insurance. You'll benefit from their detailed expertise, unbeatable premiums, and commitment to customer service. CSI Insurance Brokers and Safeco Insurance Company, providing affordable rates on quality insurance since 1952.
For over 50 years, at your locally owned and operated Roll King Supply in Salem and Olney, we've helped you and your neighbors enjoy an easy country lifestyle. We carry the most thorough sporting goods department around with a huge variety of hunting and fishing gear, camping equipment, and a variety of firearms for any need. Our team is here to help you find whatever you need. Open every day, it's Roll King in Salem and Olney, your locally owned farm and home store.
And welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I'm Beth Cooper.
I'm Stacey Earlywine, and we are talking about the cost of living from the 1800s to now. We are in the 1960s. And the average salary for men in the 60s was $4,100. The average salary was $1,300 for women. Your average home price now in the 60s is $11,900. So homes are actually dropped just a little bit from the 40s. From the 50s, I'm sorry. So they did kind of fluctuate a little bit.
I think the housing market just has a history of that, right? I mean, I'm not a realtor. I don't understand it, but you can definitely see it if you were to graph it out. Like, it's just up and down.
Yeah. Your average car in the 60s was $2,660.
Okay.
Yeah. I wonder if people study this when they go on The Price is Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I always wondered, real talk, because The Price is Right is filmed in California. How many people are on there? Because, you literally have to go by California prices.
Right.
Yeah, so, note to self, if you make it on The Price is Right, like Judy Mann did, make sure you see what the price in California.
In your math, do a little bit of inflation for California. Yeah, because...
Right.
Yeah.
Let's jump to the 70s. Now, 70s, your yearly income in the 70s, we're reaching up there, $9,870. If you were rich in the 70s, you were making $20,000 a year.
Wow.
That's what that, okay? Now, unfortunately, from the 60s to the 70s, candy jumped a bit. Candy jumped. So, from the 60s, you could still buy your chocolate bar for 5 cents, but in the 70s, candy ranges anywhere from 25 cents to 50 cents now. Okay. So that's kind of crazy. Your address now in the 70s costs you $52.75. Here we go. A Big Mac. Big Mac in the 70s, when McDonald's started coming around, was 65 cents.
Wow. What do you think it is now?
Well,
4 something, 5 something.
It is, yeah, it is. Because I did the.
Did you?
You know me. I did the Big Mac research. Yes. In 2019, a Big Mac was $4.79.
Okay.
Because then after I got in where
what
we're
is
at
it now? Do you know? I bet it's more than it was in 19. Because since COVID, everything's even went up more.
So when I you told me to do the 40s to today.
Yeah.
Literally, once I got past 2020, my notes say today, way too much.
Way too much. Hey Ty, Google what a Big Mac is today. $5.49. Thank you, Ty.
Well, in the 70s, you could get it for 65 cents.
So how much has it went up since 2019? What'd you say the price of a Big Mac was?
In 2019, the price of a Big Mac was $4.79. Yeah.
Yeah.
A whole dollar more.
Difference.
Yeah.
Wowzers.
Your average house in the state of Illinois averaged between $29,000 and $37,000 a year. Eggs were 60 cents. Pork is 65 cents. And now beef is going up higher. And beef is actually averaging about 70 cents per pound.
I think those house prices are a lot higher than what they were here.
Probably. That's averaging out.
Yeah. Because I know somebody that built a home in the 70s, and they built their own home, and I think the price was $17,000.
Yeah.
And that's like 1970.
Did they build it themselves?
No.
They had it built? Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So at this point, we're probably, Chicago's probably booming and doing its thing now. A carton of eggs is 60 cents. Now let's jump to the 80s. Boop, 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 boop. Your average gas price of the 80s is $1.19 to one. Actually, the beginning of the 80s, it was $1.19 a gallon, and then by the end of the 80s, it was $1. But now you've got all your wars factoring in.
Yeah.
So all the Iraq War starts in the 1980s, and the oil glut begins. The Iraq invades Kuwait for the Persian Gulf in the late 80s. So now gas prices are like la da 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 da.
Because the search say I can remember them being like way less than that.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
90 cents,
Yeah.
89 cents.
Yeah,
a
so I'm
gallon.
driving in the 80s, and I remember I would go get gas and charge it at Dickey's to my parents, and it was like, I remember gas being 85 cents, 90 cents a gallon.
Yep.
Bread is 50 cents. Milk is $1.09. Beef has jumped now to about average $2.44 a pound. Candy drops. In the 80s, I guess everybody wants to be slim again, so they quit buying it. Maybe they dropped the price. So people,
say, what is it in the 80s? Because
candy in the 80s is around 35 cents for a chocolate bar.
Okay, so my parents ran a Farm Fresh milk store in the 80s in Harrisburg, and we sold a lot of candy. We had an entire candy aisle that I was very familiar with. And we also had candy in buckets that was for sale on the counter.
Remember, you just get the handful and weigh it?
Well, yeah, I don't know if they had the weighing kind, but this was like everything in the bucket was a nickel. So you wouldn't get it for like a nickel, somewhere a dime, and somewhere a quarter, but also like just like for a regular candy bar, a lot of times it wasn't even 50 cents.
Well, your yearly income in the 80s is $21,000 a year. The average household spent on groceries about $985 a year, which I don't believe that's true. I think that by the 80s, you got to be spending more. But right now, the prices, with the exception of beef, is still eggs are 84 cents. Your average car now is $7,200.
I'm not sure that income computes either. I feel like people were making more, especially in the late 80s, people were making a lot more than $21,000 a year, I think.
Well, Jim and I got married in 88,
Maybe
and he
not.
was working at NAL, and I think when we got married, his salary was like $21,000.
Oh, okay.
So I remember him being right in the 20,000s.
Okay.
Because I think it was like one of those things. By the time he turned 40, he wanted to be making like $40,000 a year. But by the time that, then everything.
It went up.
Yeah,
so he
whatever.
ended up making more than that. So
Yeah. So
that's
I
good.
think that is about right. Okay, let's see. So, your average house prices between $47,000 and $55,000, which I think that's high, and probably around here. When we bought our house in '91, we paid $35,000 for it. So I think downstate you're probably $5,000 to $10,000 cheaper. And a Big Mac is $1.60.
Okay.
Boom. 1990s.
But don't you think McDonald's in the 80s was just better? Did it just taste better?
And it
or
was
was it just
bigger and
me?
better. No,
it was
I
just
think
fresh.
so.
I'm sure it didn't have all that crap in it that it has now. Like it was just more like real meat, and it just had a better flavor.
Now, once the 90s hit, your average income for the 80s was around $21,000. Once the 90s hit, your average income jumps to about $53,000 a year. So, and that would be about right. Just to get a cheapo hamburger was 71 cents, but that Big Mac's costing you $2.50. The average house now in the 90s is between 80 and 130,000. Which once again down here it's probably a little bit more or a little bit less.
Isn't it insane just in 100 years how much everything went up?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's actually over 100.
Yeah.
But 125 somewhere around there is what.
Because the gas was $1.15 to $1.17. In 1999, the North American natural gas crisis happened. So once again, gas is just weird. Gas is literally the only thing. Because right here we see up, 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 up. Gas. One day you're rich, the next day you've lost everything. Gas is the only thing that fluctuates like mad. I think that's a lot of politics. Bread is 75 cents. A gallon of milk is $1.30. Beef has dropped a little bit to $2 a pound. Candy is still at 25 cents. Eggs jump a little bit to $1.01. A cup of coffee now, people, is going to cost you 65 cents.
Okay.
Your average car is $16,950. Okay. Now let's jump to the early 2000s. 2000 to 2010. Get this. So when the war was going on, gas was $1.51. The Iraq War ended in 2010, and gas jumped to $2.79. Yeah. Bread is $1.99. Milk is crazy, $2.78. Beef now is over $5 a pound. Candy, it's jumping up to 59 cents. Eggs a little bit, $1.24, but now your manufacturing's involved. This is why Jim started making more money. Cars jumped. Your average car price in the early 2000s is $20,355. Now your dresses drops a little bit from the 90s at 70 The average dress in the 90s was $87.27. Now dresses, actually clothing starts to drop at this point. Your average dress is $68.03.
Because they have cheaper manufacturing options.
Absolutely.
And the quality went down, I can assure you.
Your yearly income in the early 2000s was between $30,000 to $39,000. An average house, once again, that's kind of a weird thing, is between $80,000 and $140,000. And your Big Mac jumped up to $4.23.
Wowzers.
Now let's talk a little bit about 2011, 2019. Gas in 2011 in the beginning was $3.53. 2019 it gets a little bit lower and it's $2.60. Bread's $2.99. Milk is $3.20. Beef is $4 a pound. Candy now jumps to $1.30. Mm-hmm. Eggs now can be $2.75.
And that's about the time I started complaining.
And that's when you started
about the candy. Like, seriously, I remember when I could buy this for $0.25.
A car, your average car now has jumped up to $26,000. Dresses, clothing is going cheap. Your yearly income in the 2011s, 2019s is about $42,000 to $51,000. So that was a big jump from $39,000. Your average house prices now are in the $176,000 area. And that Big Mac is costing you $4.79.
Not surprised.
And then after 2019, 2020 hits, ruins the world.
Everything goes sky high.
Everything goes sky high.
Nothing comes back down.
Nothing comes back down.
And
the
we all
world
suffer.
Is way too much.
And that's where the notes end.
That's where my notes end at way
too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How interesting is it?
Yeah.
But it is interesting. Like and in my research, there was like different wars and stuff. But yeah, like I said, the only thing that really. Mm-hmm. And it seems like here's the other thing I'm going to say this too, because I come from an oil family, and one day you're rich, the next day you're poor. The oil companies, and not everybody is Exxon and Mobil. We're not all billionaires. Mm-hmm. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that make money off the oil, off oil here. So everybody just thinks it's like all the billionaires. It's not. Mm-hmm. It's not, because the oil company. If farming, in the 80s, I remember the 80s farming, so the government stops it, they jump in and help. The banks have been bailed out. Car manufacturers have been bailed out. All these people over the years, the government not one time has ever bailed out an oil company. Mm-hmm. You either lost it, you either kept it, or you lost it. And I remember my grandfather was an oil man, and he stayed fairly wealthy his whole, because he was bigger. My dad started an oil company in the 80s. I went to bed when I was a junior in high school. I went to bed one time. We had a lot of money. I woke up the next day. Ronald Reagan started trading arms for oil with Saddam Hussein. Not a Reagan fan. A lot of people liked Ronald Reagan as a politician. I did not. Went to bed having money in the bank. Woke up the next day. Oil dropped to $5 a barrel, and we lost everything we had.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, not a Ronald Reagan fan.
Yeah, that would make me not like Ronald Reagan either.
Well, it's really true, and that's when he started negotiating with terrorists. He traded arms for oils to Saddam Hussein, basically breaking our oil companies and giving Saddam Hussein lots of power and telling him how to fight.
Okay, I did not know any of that.
Yeah, everybody's like, oh, Reagan.
We're all getting an education.
We're all getting an education today. We'll probably get a lot of hate mail over the people that like Ronald Reagan.
Call it like we see it.
I do call it like I see it.
Okay, well, let's do a rule to live by, and let's not quote Ronald Reagan. Let's pick one that is not his quote. Although I always liked the guy, but I didn't know any of that.
Yeah, here we go. This is perfect for us. This by Anas Nin. I don't know. Life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage.
Ooh.
Now that's deep.
That's too deep for me.
Life shrinks and
So depending on
expands.
your courage, your life gets bigger or less.
Yeah, life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. Yeah, if you've got a lot of courage, it's going to expand, because that means you're going to take a leap of faith. But if you don't have any courage and you're just going to sit home, your life's shrinking. The only thing that's going up is your waistline if you're not doing anything.
No kidding. Wow, deep thoughts today.
Deep thoughts today.
All right, well, it's the end of the show, so thank you for joining us. I hope you learned something about the cost of living and inflation. I know we did, and we enjoyed researching it. So we will see you next time on By the Way with Beth and Stacey.
God bless you. Have a great day.